Hi friends, my name is Joyce and I'm the face behind Joy and Hope. You're welcome to stay with me and we'll chat about type 1 diabetes today. So it's not as common as type 2. So we'll start with type 1 and then we'll move on to type 2. Okay? So type 1 diabetes is it's when your body does not produce any insulin. So there could be several reasons for that, which I will go into, but ultimately that's what that means, okay? The most common risk factors or reasons why you would have it is if you maybe have had pancreatic injury as a result to an illness or something happened which caused that. So type 1 diabetes would be secondary to that. The other reason is autoimmunity. So your body just doesn't produce a sufficient amount of insulin. Also, another thing is your risk factor of type 1 diabetes is higher if there is a family history of type 1 diabetes. Like I said earlier, if you've had pancreatic injury as a result of an illness or something happened that caused that, then yes, you are likely to have that type 1 diabetes. And the other thing is, one other thing to note is, which is quite significantly different from type 2, is the fact that you are likely to have the diagnosis earlier on in age. So usually teenagers, sometimes even younger than that, very unlikely when you're, above your 30s or something, very rare, but it can happen. It might be a very late diagnosis, but generally it's when you're younger. It's important to know the facts about type 1 diabetes. So it's not to do with your lifestyle. I reiterate, it's not lifestyle related. It's not preventable because it's an autoimmune condition. And usually the onset is very rapid. So we're going to go on to what are those signs and symptoms. You need to know your 40s with diabetes. So 40s is equal to the signs and symptoms of that. Easier to remember. So someone who is type 1 diabetic, very thirsty, needing to go to drink a lot of water and still needing to drink more, okay? As a result, going to the toilet more often for urine. Tiredness is another key one, and they are usually thinner, okay? So thirsty, toilet frequency, tired, thin. Those are the 40s for type 1 diabetes. Those are the four main ones anyway, okay? And it's a very rapid onset for the most part. So how is it diagnosed? So when you go to your GP, the GP is likely to do some tests. They might do a finger prick test to test your glucose levels in your blood. They might also do further blood tests to confirm that, but usually it can be done via your GP. And they can also do a urine test, also exclude other things that might be going on. So that's how you would get that diagnosis. So there are some complications with type 1 diabetes. The main one being that you could have DKA, which is diabetic ketoacidosis. So that's when, again, that one presents very rapidly. You would feel very unwell, most people would say. Usually tummy ache, really exhausted, really just not with it. Usually you can have nausea, vomiting with that as well. So very dramatic symptoms with that. But also, apart from the short-term complications, you can have the long-term complications. You can have effects due to the diabetes on your eyes. So that's why if you're type 1 or even type 2, you need to have your eyes checked quite regularly. It can also affect your kidneys. So again, that's another one. it can affect your neurology. So neuropathy, diabetic neuropathy is another one. So you might find that that is why actually people who have diabetes need to have their feet checked quite regularly, a diabetic foot check at the GP. The reason being that you might actually have an ulcer there, but you don't feel it. So those are some of the effects of diabetes, that you have an ulcer or something there on your foot and you can't, when you can't see it, you can't feel it. You've lost your sense of feeling. You can lose your sense of feeling on the legs, but you can also lose it on the fingers as well. Again, you can have, as a result of diabetes, heart disease, stroke. Those are the main ones when it comes to the more long-term complications. So how should you manage type 1 diabetes? So the ultimate thing is, like I said earlier, you have you don't have your pancreas is not producing insulin. So the answer to that is you need insulin. So treatment is number one, insulin treatment. That's what you need. The other thing you can do to help yourself is also to just have a good lifestyle, i.e., eating better, moving more, exercising, drinking more. So don't drink all your calories, instead eat them. What that means is, instead of having the juices and the fizzy drinks, have water instead. All right. And the other thing, like I said, also exercising definitely will help with type 1 diabetes. And definitely also being on top of your insulin regimen, because you definitely need that. Because if not, that can lead to very serious consequences, including death. So I do hope this has been helpful, especially for those of us with younger children. So if you notice the 40s, it is worth having your child checked, especially if there is a history of type 1 diabetes, either from yourself or your parents as well. So until next time, have a lovely week. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.